what does the world get wrong about modern day fitness? And that is the most loaded question I could start this thing with.
I am a healthcare practitioner and I kind of hover in that between area. So I'm between the medical doctor who's internal medicine, and adjacent to me are the PhDs. So I can go back and forth and do that because they're the ones that do the research, do the trials, and say, hey, VO2 max needs to be this. If you want to age properly, do this, right? So that's pretty much the two distinct. I'm gonna keep it with two. So you got the professionals, then you have the fitness trainers. So where do the professionals go wrong with anything that's in corporate America? You get misinformation, and misinformation that is funded by an agenda, right? That's the very first thing. So one thing I'm seeing right now, and one thing I'm doing in Okinawa is longevity study. And so what's being promoted right now in the United States, or from the pretty much the United States, is saying, hey, muscle, if you have strong muscle, that correlates to longevity. And so I kind of balk at that because if you look at our ancestors, not even that long ago, our dads or even our granddads, they lived to 70, 80, 90, sometimes 100 years old. They weren't in the gym. The gym culture didn't become popular until, was it Arnold Schwarzenegger? I call it the Arnold Schwarzenegger effect. So that's when it became popular. And even then it became popular, people weren't in the gym as frequently or as structured as it is now that they're reporting. So that's one thing where I balk at, and I'm like, is it due to musculature? That's a component of it, but I can explain that like this. So with the Okinawa diet, right, with the Okinawa culture, how they lived for a long time, you got physical activity. As a thing, concept I'm coming with called physical labor activity. Then you actually have strength training, right? Those three distinct things. Physical activities: walking, riding a bike, doing household chores. That's how we categorize it. Then you have strength training. It's an exercise that is a structured, formatted task to elicit a physiological or neurological response, right? Build muscle, keep layman. I come with a concept what our ancestors did. I'm not talking about ancestors like 1,000 years ago. Our grandparents and grandparents that lived on farms or even tended their land a lot more. They did physical labor, i.e., they worked in the field, they worked on their land. So if you look at it, what are you doing? You're doing squats, you're doing lunges, you're doing functional fitness, body exercises. So they're halfway right. The current professionals are halfway right when they're saying, yes, musculature does have something to do with it, but it's not in the context of how they're displaying it. You don't have to do that. And the Okinawans and all these other countries are showing that you don't have to go to the gym. Most of those people have never been in the gym. So for me, that's the very first thing I see is I don't think it's deliberate misinformation. I think it's more of an agenda or myopic, like, hey, I am the professor at Stanford and I see all my gym practitioners, there's a correlation between hand strength. They have this thing called the dynamometer, right? Where you squeeze it and it gets a register of your hand strength. And they have that as a predicator for longevity. So that's where I see is kind of getting people confused a little bit. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to display all facets and I'm going to allow you to choose. So I'm going to structure it saying, hey, physical activity, one, you have to be physically active. 10,000 steps, 50,000 steps, whatever you want to do. Then I say, you want to do some physical labor. I would highly recommend what I'm going to start doing is getting a farm, chopping wood, planting stuff. That way your body's actively engaged in something. Also being outside in the sun. That's another factor that people don't think about. Being outside in nature, seeing green, neurologically, that actually calms you. Seeing vegetation calms you. That's a scientific fact. So see what I'm saying? There's a lot more factors that are correlated to longevity and health, not just strong muscles.
What's going on, guys? If you like that clip right there, you will love the full interview. You can check that out right there. I'll see you on the next video. Oh, and subscribe because we got a lot of big things coming up in the near future.